What's going on, y'all? It's Philly Celeb, and you tapped into Popcorn Matinee, Popcorn Conversation. This is the number one platform for the independent filmmakers. Sponsored by MicrowaveMedia.com. Shout out to you, the listeners. We appreciate every listen, every follow, every repost. We got Germany in the house listening. We got Ireland in the house listening. Shout out to the whole U.S. You know, they tapped in. We got everybody from PA to New Orleans to New York, Jersey, California. Listen, I appreciate all y'all support. I appreciate all y'all listens. Now, today's special guest is Max Berstein, the writer and director of Look Behind You. Now, I found out about Max because I was scrolling through Instagram and I seen an advertisement for Look Behind You, the movie. Went to the page. He got his own Instagram page, Look Behind You. Definitely follow that on Instagram. Looked at the still shots and the behind the scenes. I'm like, hey, this looks like crazy movie. I definitely want to check this out. Let me reach out. So I'm saying that to say to all my creatives or anybody that's doing any type of business, don't underestimate advertisement. That's the most important thing besides the product. But back to Max. Now, in this interview, Max takes us through the steps that he took to complete his first film. You hear that? He took the initiative and created something that he wanted to create. And I love things like that. So with no further ado, here's the interview with Max Berstein.
You wanna roll, you wanna ride. We getting money, you know the vibe. We stunting on them, that ain't no lie. We get our blessings from out the sky.
First thing I want to do is congratulate you on releasing your first film.
Oh, thank you, man, so much. Again, really appreciate it. It's kind of surreal to hear somebody say that like a year ago. I mean, I was just about like making a film for the first time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really appreciate that.
So no, I appreciate you coming on. What made you want to become a filmmaker?
I think as a kid, I was always so fixated with movies, and growing up, I really wanted to be an actor because that was the only way I kind of thought about film in general was like through acting. And I didn't even really know what a director was. I was just obsessed with films in general, like Disney films and Pokemon and shit growing up. But eventually I learned, there's a director and there's a writer and there's mechanics behind it. But it seemed like as a teenager and even like in my earlier 20s, I'm 29 now, it seemed like this unattainable thing being a director. There's like so much to it, and I just viewed it as a really mechanical career, and I'm a more creative guy, so I was like, oh, I got to be an actor. But there's just one like Tarantino interview where he described like directing as like something that he thought was like a magical act that it was so hard to learn, and it was like, no, you just have to be able to convey your creative vision to other people that know the mechanics. And I was like, oh, I could do that. So after that, it was like kind of a mission of me to like make a film because I love movies so much.
I feel you on that. Now, why did you believe it was unattainable?
I don't know. I thought it was like you have to know everything about cameras to be a director. I think it was for me like that was almost like, I don't know. I thought like I needed to know everything about the mechanics behind it to direct. Okay. I thought otherwise like you couldn't do it. And as I just inadvertently learned more about it because I would always like watch Marvel movies and then look at the behind the scenes and or watch a Tarantino movie and watch the behind the scenes, and I just get into it more and more and hear more and more things. Eventually I realized the director doesn't have to be a master of everything. They just kind of know a little bit of everything and mostly just have a lot of creative ideas.
Mm-hmm. Now you mentioned that you was into the acting part first. Like what age? And I know you said you did theater at a younger age. Like what age did you do theater?
I'd say like when I was 5, there's this like theater company for like kids called like Imagination Stage in like I think it's like Bethesda, Maryland, and I performed a lot there as like a little kid. And in high school, I did a lot of theater. And around the time I was in college, I wanted to go be a theater major, but I was like, there's no money in this. Why would I do that? I feel like you either have it or you don't. And it just seemed like acting seemed like such a rough road to go down because I feel like it's such a grind and you can't really make things um, without someone else's okay. So that led me into like music a bit. But yeah, I think that's it. I just love performing, and that was like the closest thing to like movies for me was like acting.
Okay, what was when you started performing? Like, what was like the biggest thing you did as far as like theater?
Probably like Hamlet in like
Hamlet.
at school or something, like or like there's this one like play in middle school where everyone forgot their lines and I just improv the entire thing and it went over really well, even though like behind the scenes it was like a complete disaster.
Mm-hmm.
But like nothing serious. Like it was just like on and off in school and like some theater companies. Like when I was like 18, 19, just like plays and stuff like that, but like Shakespeare type stuff.
Okay, and you also write too, right? Did you write Look Behind You?
Yeah, I wrote it. I wrote and directed it. I yeah, I've written a lot of scripts before making this, but it was always like one day I'll have the money to make a film because like I love big blockbuster superhero movies and action movies,
Okay.
and yeah, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna write something that I can produce. And every time I'd write a script, I'd look at it, I'm like, there's no way with this many locations and action scenes that this will work. And eventually, like, I wrote something that was doable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your love for film made you want to write, or that was the only thing you ever wrote was like more so screenplays, or?
Yeah, I mean, I write a lot of like songs and like raps and like all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
Like poetry, every kind of medium. I like writing a whole lot, and I a lot of times I just jot down movie ideas of like if I could make a superhero movie or if I could make a huge movie, what would that look like? And it would just be random notes. But at a certain point, when you see kind of filmmakers, and I'd study like on IMDb like what their path looked like to success,
Mm-hmm.
almost nobody's first movie was like Endgame. It's like you have to like pay your dues and pave the way there.
Yeah.
And yeah. And for me, it's like I don't really want to make like indie dramas or anything like that. But for me, it's like finding a way to add fantastical elements that I like in there that still makes it exciting for me.
Okay. I like that. I wanted to touch on something real quick though before we get into the film Look Behind You. Now you
Sure.
said you do music and all that. Are you coming out with a soundtrack to the film?
Uh, there's a composer that I work with, and we're working on actually some of my own personal music together.
Okay.
He's this guy Matthew Bankhurst from the UK, who's this really brilliant composer and rock musician, and this is one of his first film soundtracks. And we worked really closely together. And yeah, he did the score for the film, and we collaborated really closely on it. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. And we got like a live string section to do it, which is
Okay.
really cool.
That sounds dope. So what's your
Yeah.
what stage name you go by? You go by Max Bernstein or no? As a musician.
Yeah, I think I went by. I went by Iceberg for a little bit.
Iceberg. That's
I don't know
cool.
if I'm gonna stay with that or not, but yeah.
Iceberg Max. I like that.
But
I like that. That's a cool name.
thanks, man.
Alright.
Yeah, I messed around with a lot of music for a bit, and whether I go by that name for a project I release next, we'll see. But yeah, I love what I love about film, and this is an original thought. Like the Incredibles director Brad Bird said this. Like movies, it's like all art forms together in one. That's like movies. It's like everything is in it.
Yes. Yes.
Like visual, audio, like even like forms of like composition and painting and stuff like that is like in film in a way. So yeah, I really like film for that because it kind of integrates everything.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Now I want to know about Look Behind You. As far as like, I want to know. Tell us a little bit about Look Behind You. Like, don't give out any spoilers or anything.
Yeah.
But like,
No, I'm not gonna give any spoilers.
Alright.
Yeah, Look Behind You is about two friends who have drifted apart over the years, going on a nostalgic camping trip to kind of rekindle their friendship. And it's a lot about what someone will do when they're trying to seek kind of validation or like kind of big up their ego from other people. Like whether you're with somebody that you're just with because they're hot, or you're friends with a guy who's kind of an asshole, but you're just friends with him because he's confident, and if he thinks you're cool, then you're cool. Like, how much of abuse will you take from those people just because like it makes you feel dope, even though it's really not good for you and it's just fucking bad. But it's a lot about that, and it's also about how much nostalgia will allow you to hold on to that stuff with old friends. Beyond that, the rest is, to be seen in the movie.
Okay, would you classify it as like a horror, a sci-fi, a drama? Like, would you classify it as?
I think it's drama and horror with a little bit of comedy in there. I say it leans heavy into the drama.
Okay. So what inspired you to just write this movie specifically? Like,
The aspect that would be a spoiler was
okay,
a huge. It was. I needed something to write to make it happen,
okay,
and I thought about something in my personal life that I was inspired to write about. And really bad relationships that people feel really sentimental about, like something that's terrible for you, but you just are comfortable with it, and you find a reason to justify to keep doing it. Like it's a horrible girlfriend or a horrible friend that you have so much history that you just want to find a way to make it work, even though there's no logical reason to keep doing it. There's a lot of cases in that in my personal life. Now, I'm not going to out the person that inspired me to write this, but there's a very specific person who was not in the best relationship that really inspired me to write the script. And it's like he's always just complaining about his relationship to me, and I was like, why are you in this? It makes no sense. But I just couldn't. It would be such a out of pocket thing for me to confront him on it for a lot of reasons. But I was like, if I were to just tell him about it, what would I say?
no, that's
And that's kind of where this came about. Like, if I were to just lash out on this person about everything I think he's doing wrong, what would I say? And I just kind of that's what inspired the kind of really dominant character and the really submissive character that you're going to see in the film.
Okay, so the film has two characters, or two main characters?
Two main characters in the film. Yep.
All right, you want to share their names or no?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. There's a kind of quintessential douchey kind of jock character. His name is Josh.
Okay.
And the more kind of sensitive, submissive, emo character, his name is Ryan.
Okay, Josh and Ryan. That's cool. So, how many days did it take you to film this?
Yeah, this was shot over the course of 3 days, like kind of 4-ish days, but like 3 night shoots, and they were all-nighters, 3 all-night shoots in the woods, in the boonies in Maryland.
Oh,
and
man.
Yeah, it was tough, but it was a lot of fun.
What were some of the tough obstacles you had to face while filming it at nighttime?
I think a lot of it was keeping the energy up, but the actors were so hilarious that really helped. Just like talking shit the whole time.
Okay.
But a lot of the challenges were just like cramming everything in the day. To be honest, the biggest thing as a filmmaker for the first time and deciding to film at night is because of continuity, it all has to be at night. So you're basically at a race against the sun coming up.
Yeah.
So there's certain scenes where literally the sun was about to come up, and we just eked out the scene before it all got ruined by daylight.
Yeah. No, I understand.
That's the biggest challenge is just the time crunch.
Now, as far as your crew, not the actors. Well, I want to touch on the actors too, but as far as your crew, as far as with lighting and camera and everything, were they people that you knew? How did you go about getting your crew?
Yeah, so a lot of it was interviewing cinematographers, because I knew if I had somebody that saw eye to eye with my vision, that I could really execute something I was proud of. And the hardest thing was finding people, one, that didn't feel like they were in it for the money, and two where I was like, this guy's good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and there's I came very close to almost hiring somebody that I wasn't crazy about because I didn't really get the chance to look at their work, and they talked a big game and it sounded good, but then I looked at their work and I was like, ugh, no, I can't like invest this amount of my own lifeblood and money if like I'm not like, you know, really impressed with their work. And I came across this guy John Grove, who's the coolest guy ever, and brilliant cinematographer. And I saw a film he made with a director named Ivan Kander called Truth or Scare that was kind of comparable to what I was doing or wanted to do. It was in a house, and it was two actors, and there was horror element in it. And it was really, really solid and really, really professional and clean and engaging. It was everything that I hoped my first film would be at the end. I was like, if I could get this guy and my material, I could do something really, really good. And meeting him, his entire crew, or the entire crew that I ended up with, were people that have known him for years and years and years.
Okay. Cause yeah, looking at this screenshots and the stills, it looks beautiful. It looks like a big budget Hollywood movie. It does.
Thank you. I mean, a lot of that is. I mean, obviously, John is a huge credit to that. But there's the lighting technician, the gaffer, Gray Atkins. He is like a one-man wrecking crew. This guy is like unreal. Like, it's like if any film I ever do, I need this guy on because he's just that unbelievably talented. Like the amount he was able to do by himself. He was like 3 gaffers in one, or even like 7. Like, it's unreal what this guy could do.
Oh,
and
man.
his lighting. Him and the cinematographer John had a lot, of idea of what they wanted to do based on what I was going for, but he knocked it out of the park. A lot of the visual that looks good in those stills is all Gray.
Yeah, that beautifully shot movie. I can't wait to see it, especially see the trailer when you release it. But I definitely can't wait to see
man.
the film.
We're working on cutting a trailer together, without like giving too much away. That's tough with a short film because there's only so much content. But yeah, the trailer's dropping soon.
Okay, so how did you cast your actors?
A lot of it was scouring the internet because I'd never casted a movie before. I mean, obviously, it's my first film.
Mm-hmm.
But basically every casting website in existence, I kind of just went through and tried to, post my script there and see what I could get. And I went through thousands of people. But it's kind of funny, like the first, like maybe 20 people I looked at, the actors I ended up with were there. And I knew, like, this is the perfect Josh. This is the perfect Ryan. And it's like, if I could get these guys, it'd be awesome. And luckily, they were both down, and they really liked the material.
Okay. Did they come from far away, like from?
Yeah, they were actually relatively close. It was filmed in Maryland. I live in Virginia,
okay.
And both of them were from New York.
Okay.
Actually, one of them. So, Alex Comito. Or his name's, he goes by Alex Comito, and Zaramok Bachik, he goes by Z. He plays Josh, and Alexander Comito plays Ryan. And both of them are like crazy talented actors. And I'm really happy I was able to get the talent that I was able to get in my very first film. Because I feel like normally you either have your friends or you have what you could get. But I feel like, people felt, I had a decent amount of options because people felt good about the material, which made me feel, I felt pretty good about that. But I was, it was tough because I was just worried, I don't know, like that, are the actors going to remember their lines or are they going to do good? Like, I never done it before, but like they came incredibly prepared, both of them.
No, that's good. So did y'all do any rehearsals beforehand or no?
Yeah, it was like, we did a couple chemistry reads on Zoom,
Okay.
and even before that, like I played both of their audition tapes like on the same screen, and it just felt right. So I was like, this is gonna work. And when they were on Zoom together, it was magic. Like they were like, I was like trying not to laugh while they were rehearsing just because it was so funny. But yeah, I think The movie plays really dramatic, but like when just seeing how they played off each other so well, it was hard not to laugh because it was very much what I had in mind writing it.
Okay, I'm definitely looking forward to it. So is this
Yeah, man.
this a short film or is it a full length?
Oh no, this is like I mean, right now the director's cut. Right, I mean, is like about 22 minutes.
Okay, okay.
But I think we're gonna try and make like a 10 to 15 minute cut for festivals because I think that's gonna be easier for them to program. It's tough because I think a lot of the story, like each line, kind of segues into the next thing, even though it is kind of cyclical argument that kind of repeats over and over again. But that's like any argument. But I think there are certain things that could definitely be cut. I like the long version, but I think we can get it shorter. But yeah, it is a short film.
Okay. So are you going besides the festival? Are you going to release a director's cut version of the film?
Yeah, for sure.
For
I'm
sure.
gonna try to. It's like I think we're gonna try and ship it around to different streaming places or see where we can get it.
Mhm.
But definitely the director's cut will be on YouTube for sure.
Okay. When do you anticipate like releasing it officially? Like after you do all the film festival runs and everything?
Yeah, definitely after the festival run.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll release on YouTube because I think a lot of festivals don't necessarily allow your film to be on YouTube before it's screened at the festival.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot about the festival circuit. This being my first time submitting to festivals of any kind, and yeah, so it'll be on YouTube after the festival run.
Okay. So what is the film community like in Virginia?
It's pretty. I mean, it might. I know it exists, but like, it's pretty. I don't know. I don't want to like say anything bad about the film community. All I can say is like a lot of the cinematographers and crews that I try to interview for this project.
Mhm.
Like, there's a lot of talent but I think people that don't feel like they're in it for the paycheck. I think in general that's just hard to come by, is like passionate people that you can tell aren't just like jaded with filmmaking but are excited about just creating something and had that like
Mhm.
that childlike spark that we all had that got us into doing creative shit to begin with. I think a lot of people are just like, yeah, just lugging cameras around and filming a commercial. Like, I think people that are really wanting to make creative like dope shit is like, it's hard because I think it's just a hard industry.
Yeah.
But I think and what I love about everyone, actors and crew included, is I think we're all kind of fighting for that, spark of magic and that's what we create. I think most people like I'm that I worked on this film are like that, where it's like we're all excited to be doing it, and that's kind of the people I want to work with going forward. Because if somebody's just talented but they're just kind of like ghosting through the job, like, nah, man, like,
Yeah.
get out of here.
You need
But
somebody with the passion.
It's tough.
Yeah, with the passion. Yeah, it's hard to find passionate people. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm way too green in the industry to like make a judgment on Virginia. It's like I can't like talk like shit because
Oh.
like I don't know enough people. I know people I've interviewed like that I try to seek out, but I to be decided
Yeah.
on the film community of Virginia. But like I could say the crew that I worked with on this film were amazing,
Is-
like talent wise and as people.
Now, like, is it a big filmmaking community in Virginia, or is it like small? Like
I feel
everybody
like
know
it's
each other.
really. I feel like it's really, really small.
Oh, it's really
I feel
small.
like because in Virginia, I think everyone is kind of into government jobs and stuff like that. A lot of the reason I'm still here is just because I had a lot of friends growing up here, and I felt very attached to the area. But as more and more people move out, I don't know. I'm almost just, I don't even know what I'm doing here in a way. But like I kind of just wanted to make a film. My first film, at least in a familiar environment, versus going to LA and feeling like, drowned, and almost to prove to myself that, that I can, make a competent film and direct actors well. But yeah, the current crew that we worked with is in Maryland. So
Okay.
they don't necessarily reflect the Virginia film community. They're all from Maryland,
Okay.
most of them.
All right. So, what are your top 3 films?
Ooh, that's a good question. I love that question. This is, for me, I have a very like generic taste in movies in a way, but like Dark Knight is number 1 for me.
Yeah, I love Dark Knight.
Yeah, I just think that movie is such a great balance of like film noir, like art house, and just blockbuster superhero stuff. And that's always number one up there for me. And the score by Hans Zimmer is just, I've never stopped listening to that. Number two, I mean, the Lion King, original animated Lion King.
Yeah, that's definitely
That was like the first movie that I think really like it inspired me as a kid, and rewatching it as an adult, it still has the same impact for me in terms of like, I don't know. People say like, oh, Hamlet's better than Lion King, but I'd say Hamlet doesn't have a Hans Zimmer score, so I'd say they're wrong. Like, I'll do like Hamlet, like after like, but like that it doesn't have the Hans Zimmer score, and it doesn't have James Earl Jones as Mufasa either.
Yeah.
But number three, that's tough. I'd have to say probably Inglourious Basterds by Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have to say number three.
I love that movie.
That movie is just so rewatchable, such good dialogue, and it inspired a lot. That's like a movie that's inspired my style a whole lot, like writing style as far as movies go.
Okay, and you did mention that too. That Quentin Tarantino, that's one of your favorite directors.
I love how like satisfying his films are to watch, and how much payoff you get out of his films. Like he's able to make long drawn dialogue really entertaining, and I like, he has a lot of poeticness to his films, and no matter how much talking there is, he always adds like a really climactic, like visceral, violent scene that makes it worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that just really satisfying.
No, I feel you. Yeah, one of the greatest directors, man, all the time.
Man.
Now, you successfully completed your first film, Look Behind You. What are some tips from your experience and what you just went through what are some of the tips that you can give out to up and coming filmmakers or just filmmakers in general from your experience?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I would say to upcoming filmmakers making their first film is you cannot prepare enough. Like, a lot of the success of this film is because of the people that I was able to hire that were so talented and had my back. And I mean, I'll give myself credit that the ideas were strong. But as far as the more you plan out each shot and every moment and know exactly what you're trying to accomplish each moment, each day, the better. Like, the less you leave that to other people, not that you don't want help, but the more you can plan out the specifics of the shots you're doing and what you want to accomplish each day, the better. Because it's really easy to not accomplish the shots that you're going for, to lose out on big parts of your vision if you don't plan it out well enough. Like, I think preparation is huge, because if you don't prepare, you're kind of putting it in luck's hands, and that's not good. The other thing I would say is get as much feedback as you can from people that don't necessarily like you or are friends with you. Like, if people that are complete strangers think your material is strong, that's a good sign. But if you're showing your script to strangers and they're like, they might like really look for if you feel like people are fucking with what you're doing. Because if like people read it and it's like they're losing interest or like kind of bored, which like I think it's like a sign to go back to the drawing board. But it's like feedback from people that don't have any reason to give you a pat on the back, and preparing as much as possible. Rehearsing, planning out shot lists, talking with each crew member about what exactly you're trying to do, and even having like a binder about like, what each scene is supposed to accomplish, taking notes on the script, all that stuff. Granted, there's a fine balance, because you don't want to overdo it and then just prepare and write and never make it the movie. But preparation is key, and getting feedback from people is really important. Okay. That's what I say. As far as getting it made, I think it's just being persistent, and also believing in your vision. Because if you're nervous about like pitching it to somebody, if you've done the hard work, people will see your passion. Like, even if you're really nervous, just because like you're inexperienced, it's like if people can see that you've worked your ass off on it, the truth will come out. Like, being nervous isn't necessarily going to mess up your pitch, but half-assing it is going to give you no shot. Like, you got to really put your heart into it and put the effort in. And if you put the time in and you're pitching to people, you're a lot more likely to get support.
Okay. Thank you for that, Max. I appreciate that. My audience appreciate that. We appreciate
Yeah.
you, man. Thank you for
Yeah,
coming on.
thank you.
One more, wait,
Thank you so much.
one more question. Okay, you filmed in Maryland. How did you scout that location, and what was that process like? I want to add that. I'm gonna throw that in the middle of the interview somewhere. How you do that?
So I looked up every kind of foresty location in Virginia and Maryland, and I called every park ranger and looked up every website to see who would be willing to let us film. And there was a park ranger at Cunningham Falls State Park, and he was down. But it's just a lot of trial and error, and I just scouted, even down to like makeup artists and hiring people. Sometimes you just got to go on Google and make a million phone calls. Like, that's a big hot tip, I'd say, is use the hell out of Google. Like, just type in whatever you need, and even if you gotta I emailed like a million people for this one special effects makeup aspect of the film, and almost no one was able to do it. And then I found this one guy named Dallas Harvey that's a great prosthetic artist that was able to do on a time crunch what I needed. So Google exactly what you need and make a ton of phone calls.
Okay. Thank you, Max. Man, this is like a master class. I appreciate this.
Okay.
We gonna love it. I love this conversation. I appreciate you, Max.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, Whittier. Thank you. It was awesome being on, and it's like my first podcast, so that's very flattering. But that's my honest experience about getting this done. So I hope I can help out some people that are afraid to, make their first film, and are I hope it can give people some courage to get into it. That even if you're nervous, like I was, horribly nervous. If you are passionate and prepare, like you can absolutely get it done.